No, I don't. If you expected a different answer, you're dismissed. I'm disappointed in you. Nick Fuentes is like a bad person, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to say that outright. I don't like him for three major things. Number one, I believe he is like quite a racist. I do believe that liberals throw that term around way too fucking much. I'm going to dive into that in a second. So I do believe he's a racist. I don't agree with him saying that Catholics should be all of our elected officials, like all government officials should be Catholic. I also don't believe in his fucking bullshit about your body, my choice, where he just doesn't believe in women's rights whatsoever. Those are the three main things as to like why I don't like him. I think he's a complete fraud. He's full of shit, and if he believes any of the shit that he spews out of his mouth, then he's an idiot. And you're an idiot too if you actually just like listen to him, because it's fucking stupid. So I want to talk about the racism bit real quick. I do believe that liberals throw that term around way too loosey-goosey, and they don't really know what it means. I also believe that Republicans are way too surface level with it and just don't understand what like racism is or how it works. So there's three fundamental things about racism that we're going to talk about. One is prejudice, there's antagonism, and discrimination. That's the dictionary definition, is it's prejudice, antagonism, and discrimination. So prejudice is more along the lines of it can be harmful or it could be very harmless, whereas like prejudice is a preconceived opinion, a preconceived notion where before you learn the truth, you have an opinion that isn't very accurate. So if you believe that all black people like fried chicken, you're ignoring the fact that there's plenty of black people that don't like fried chicken and plenty of people who actually are allergic to poultry. So like, for example, you can't just go around and say those things and fully believe them, right? Like, sure, you can make good jokes about them because sometimes generalizations and stereotypes can be funny if you do find them funny, but there's plenty of people who don't find them funny. They're just not really tasteful. I believe jokes should be more complex and have like harder punchlines and should just be more complicated in general. I have laughed at fart jokes before, so I wouldn't really put me too, far above the capacity of laughing at racist jokes. But I don't put that on the same level of like antagonism or discrimination, the other two forms of racism, where if you antagonize a race, where you're like, oh, Haitians are ruining the country by eating or cats and dogs, you're antagonizing them, right? You're making them the villain, you're making them the bad guy. Or discrimination, like, oh, Felipe is not going to get the promotion because he's brown, right? Like, that's racist. That's discrimination in the workplace. So there's three main things you can talk about with racism, and like, just because someone makes a fucking stupid joke about haha, Asians have small pee-pee doesn't mean that they're like a bad person, right? Like, yes, it's prejudice. Yes, it's technically racist. But if you're on the liberal side and you scream racism at like right-wingers for making stupid jokes like that, you make it seem way more like evil than it really is in that circumstance, where it's more circumstantial and you're not really looking into you don't care, right? Like, you're more apathetic to the details. You don't give a shit about what the details are. So Nick Fuentes is a race realist, where he says that, oh, well, I'm a realist with race, where I acknowledge the realism of the differences between the races, where he says that black people have a low IQ on average, or they make up for it by having more athleticism, they're more fit, where it's still preconceived notions. Where sure, on average, if you want to look at statistics like that, maybe that's the truth. I don't care. It doesn't matter, right? Like, the individual is more acknowledgeable than just generalizing, right? What's the point in trying to generalize? What is the actual outcome that you're trying to get by making these big generalizations and saying that, oh, well, on average, they have low IQ? What does that do? Like, what does that do for anybody? Like, what's the fucking point in that? There are plenty of African descendant people who have an excellent IQ, and plenty of African American people or African descendant people who are not fit, like that fat piece of shit pedo EDP. So like regardless on your averages or fucking looking at race or fucking blah blah blah, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't help anybody to separate people like that. It really doesn't. It does not. There's no legitimate purpose for it that will benefit society. Moving on to the topic of Catholicism and government, I don't care. I think religion is mostly a delusion. I have some really complex religious beliefs where people call me a fence sitter, because I do believe in atheism, and I am like an agnostic where I do believe in theism and in a God at the same time, where I believe it's like a yin-yang thing. It's a really long, elaborate thing I'm not going to explain right now, but I do believe that religion in general, believing in like a dude turning a stick into a snake or fucking parting the Red Sea or a burning bush that talks to you. Just all this fucking nonsense obviously is not real. Like, it's such an unbelievable delusion that you're indoctrinated into via fear when you're a child. And it's like, when you die, you're going to burn for eternity if you don't listen to me, right? Like, that's such an evil form of indoctrination, in my opinion, where people believe that if you tolerate gay people, that's indoctrination, but at the same time, they believe that you're going to burn forever if you're gay. It's such an unbelievably hypocritical stance to say that gays are indoctrinating kids when you do that. From like childbirth, you tell them they're gonna burn in hell forever and get stabbed with pitchforks by fucking red demons. You gotta be kidding me, man. No, but for real, I do believe that government officials should be grounded in factual like evidence and not just belief structures. Yeah, but then again, I do believe in freedom of speech. I do believe in freedom of religion. I think that people should be able to believe in whatever they believe in. If you're a government official and you're Catholic, whatever, like, I don't care. I don't believe that it should be like normalized or like mandated that they all be Catholic. You know, all of our government officials be Catholic. I think Nick Fuentes is extremely out of pocket for saying shit like that. I do believe in your right to be religious, but I also believe in my freedom of speech to say that you're delusional if you are. So yeah, all of our government officials should be Catholics is completely bullshit. I think that's unbelievably bullshit. Yeah, see, I don't know enough about geopolitics or like the politics of the war in Ukraine and shit that's been going on. Like, I don't care about all that stuff right now. It's so much information to digest. So I don't really care about like Nick Fuentes' stance on like Russia or fucking blah 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 blah. I only care about the very upfront, honest, common sense things of like philosophical things or just kind of like, you know, opinions that make more sense. Like, I'm not super versed in it. I don't know. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not. I'm going to be straight up. I've never been to Ukraine. I've never been to Russia. I have no idea what the fuck's going on over there. I don't believe everything I read on the news. You know, I see the news. I see a lot of what people say. I'm not going to conclude do opinions on it or just go and start researching all the stuff that's happening over on the other side of the world right now. I really don't have any interest in it. I'm very grounded in like here and how people treat each other here. That's why I really specified on talking about race and talking about women's rights and talking about Catholicism, just talking about things that are more relevant to what's going on like around me and the people around me in my life and the citizens that are in the United States versus like the geopolitical things that are happening around the world. I don't know that much about it. Like, I made one video condemning Israel for their actions against Palestine, but in all reality, like Hamas and like shit like that, they're not good. You know, obviously, I just don't believe that the way that Israel retaliated was super good from what I heard. But I'm not well versed. Like, I don't know enough about that to keep talking on it and to keep like debating it or keep talking about stuff like that. I have no fucking clue. I'm not there. I don't even know what the fuck's going on at the border, and neither do Republicans. Neither liberals nor Republicans know what the fuck's going on at the border. They only have like rough estimates, like huge estimates of how many people that they've like lost or how many people have immigrated. It's just all speculation, it seems. So like nobody has any fucking definitive answers. So I don't like coming to conclusions on things like that or fucking criticizing people for making wild claims like that because I don't know what the fuck. I can't verify that. But I can talk on the things that made sense, like common sense shit, like don't be racist. Like, come on, right? Like, I could talk on stuff like that. So, moving on to my third and final thing about women's rights, I have a really weird stance on abortion. I am very pro-choice and pro-life kind of at the same time. I think as like a want or desire versus a need or a necessity, like a want or desire, sure, if you want to have an abortion, you should be able to have one as long as the baby doesn't have a developed brain. Therefore, it cannot feel pain. I believe if a baby or a child could feel pain, then it shouldn't be aborted. I believe that's morally incorrect. I believe that is very immoral to do. However, on the necessity side, regardless of brain development, if a woman has been sexually assaulted, like essayed, they absolutely should have that right to abort. Absolutely. I also 100% believe that if a woman's life is in danger, they could choose to abort the child. I don't believe they should be forced to have a fucking child, like, especially in an economy where the average like age per state for home ownership varies between like 40 years old to 50 years old, which is so unfathomable. Where the average age of home ownership to have four walls and a roof over your fucking head is like up to like 40 years old. That's so fucked because you're so far past the age of fertility, it's like, what's the fucking point of having kids if they're so unbelievably expensive and there's such a huge wage gap in like 47-ish%. I'm not being exactly precise. If I'm incorrect, you can go ahead and correct me. Where close to half of the country is living paycheck to paycheck and one paycheck away from poverty. And there's so many financial struggles that families end up going through. And right-wingers and Republicans and people on the platform for X and these people who are like doing all this stock trading, they'll turn around, crypto bros, they'll turn around and they'll say, oh, you're just not trying hard enough. Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. You crypto bros and you people who are super big into the economy and, oh, I worked so hard and blah, blah, blah. You will never fucking work as hard as a parent with 2 jobs coming home, or at least especially a single parent. But you will never work as hard as parents who have to come home, take care of kids, clean their house, and make sure that their shit is in line every single fucking day and still take care of themselves. You will never. It's so fucking stupid. Whatever. Nick Fuentes is an idiot. He's a piece of shit. He's a bad person. If you expected me to say otherwise, wow, man, you gotta look inward. You really gotta question your own beliefs. I question my beliefs every single fucking day. I question my validity every fucking day. If you don't question if your perspective is valid, you're not doing it right. See ya. Complete.